are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of KLAV.
The sport of radio control racing has swept the nation, and Vegas RC Raceway is proud to present the first radio show in the nation to cover this rapidly growing sensation. So, without further delay, your hosts Eric Flynn and the Big Shane bring you Radio Control Race Chat.
Hey there, I'm Eric.
And I'm the Big Shane.
And this is RC Race Chat. Before we get started here, if you'd like to call in and ask some questions, you can do so at 702-731-1230. Or if you're getting ready to leave your car and head on inside, you can stream us live on the Vegas RC Raceway website, which is the VRCR.com. Few things before we get started here. This issue is brought to you by RCinsider.com, Studio 44 with all your printing, photo, and promotion needs, and MyChild'sTeacher.com. And moving right into the show, let's get going with some JBRL stuff. Shane, how'd you do?
I did okay. I did all right, I guess. I took second overall with the electric buggy, my Mugen. I put that thing on the podium. So it was Travis Amescu was first. I was second. And Jacob Haas was third with his Losi. And we had a pretty good event out there. It rained early on in the morning, and the day before it was kind of on and off. And I guess they had a lot of rain the day before that. So it was kind of muddy and stuff at first. And then in that morning practice before the race, it was extremely muddy, and everybody was kind of afraid to go out on the track and get their stuff dirty before we started the event. And it needed to be driven on to so we can, start.
Once it got driven down, it got
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
Huh?
And then at the end of the night for the mains, for especially the Pro Buggy A main, that thing, the track was sticky when I went out after the main and went and walked on it. It was sticking to my feet, and it was just awesome. Like, it was better than ever, and it was no tire wear,
That's always nice.
Yeah.
Well, you've been working hard on this whole JBRL season.
Yeah, I did every one but the Palm Desert race. So, I did 7 races out there, and it's tough to stay on top and make sure all your stuff's in order for these events, and it's just
well, you're out there with big names.
Yeah, it was my first year running pro, and it was extremely difficult to try to show up to a track and have no practice and just morning practice or whatever, and hopefully all my stuff was working right before I got on the track, and to be on top is tough. To get on the lap times that some of these guys are doing, they've been playing with RC cars their whole lives, and I haven't, so it's tough to
stay
make
on
it
point.
happen. Yeah, and then to make sure that your stuff is good throughout the whole series. Like, anybody can show up probably to a race and do very well the first time because they don't have to deal with any problems. But through a series is always tough. I know you're having a point series now, and
That's
you'll
right.
see it at the end of the point series that a lot. You get a couple people that can take first or second or third in those first couple weeks, and then as it starts going,
As they're falling
stuff
off.
starts breaking down if you don't do the maintenance on it, and especially with nitro cars, like, your motors have to be right, your bearings, everything has to be perfect on these cars. And then when you show up to a big event like JBRL, it better be right. So it takes a lot of dedication and time just in getting prepared for these things.
Yeah, it certainly does. Now, with all that hard work and dedication, you got some prizes.
Yeah, I did. I won the Losi 8E buggy, and that was part of the
Deal there,
yeah,
huh?
the whole.
You got your trophy, and then you got the car.
Yeah, the car, and then I also won about $235, I believe it was.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, at least it paid for something. It paid for my travel to be there.
Well, yeah. So you got a free trip out of that one. Little applause. Check that out. New features on RC Race Chat. Better watch out. And that's really neat. And moving on with that one, talking about point series real quick. The first round one of the Electric Master Series at the Vegas RC Raceway went down.
Yeah, I missed it.
You missed it.
I
You broke my heart on that one. But I'll tell you what, all the other team guys, they made it out. We had a ton of people. We had the new layout in. Just the Friday practice evening before the point series started, we had 126 people.
That's amazing. Everyone comes out for these new layouts. Like, you announce that you put something new and different in the facility, like, it just brings people out of the woodwork.
Yeah. It was, and it's definitely good. I think it's by far the best layout we've ever had.
I was upset because now, like, after running on the layout, especially today, and then yesterday, I got a couple battery packs on there before I had to go home, and I think it's very fun and fast, and just it's awesome. Like, it's probably one of the best layouts that we have in there. And I was upset that I didn't get to run it because, we built it, and I usually get to run it like the next day after everything's all said and done. And this time I had to leave, so I didn't get to run it. Everybody else got to run on it before me, and I was upset.
A little
about
bit of
that.
catch up to do.
Yeah, so I think I'm on pace now. So
yeah, you definitely got in some practice today.
It took me a day.
Yeah, you were here all day. You did a lot of work. It was you're looking good out there, though.
Yeah.
Now, is talking about other people looking good. I know Dennis LeBaron in Sportsman Mod Short Course. He did well. He TQ'd and took home the win in that one, so he's going to end up with 101 points.
Yeah.
Coming into the second week here.
What about Sportsman Buggy? Who won in Sportsman Buggy? Do you know off the top of your head?
You know what? I did not bring the race updates with me. Oh, Max K won.
Yep.
He TQ'd and won.
Yeah, I got the text. And
That's right.
If you didn't remember, I was going to throw that in there.
It's so many different classes, it skips the
tough.
memory. But I'll tell you what, got a buggy, hasn't raced electric in forever.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And then throws it down.
Yeah, he's just at the track helping out. And then lately, like these past 2 days that I've been out there, and he's got some time on the track, and he was doing very well for a sportsman driver. He's on point. It's from running all that nitro, I think, and then now you give him a smaller car and a different environment. He's
able to put it down.
Yeah, he'll be getting really good with that thing soon, I think.
Then in the expert mod buggy class, Mikey Bustamante, one of the shop drivers, he ended up taking it home.
Yeah,
then,
I heard he killed it too. He had the fastest lap.
Yeah,
until I showed up today.
That's right. You did. You put it down.
Busted it by 2/100ths of a second.
Something like that. Yeah, absolutely. It was good running. Yeah. But he came in first. Steve Aniel came in second, and then I'd have to check the roster from there. I believe James might have come in third, Ty fourth, and then on down the ladder. So some great running there. I mean, everyone, the novice guys, everyone did good.
Yeah, everybody's enjoying the new point series that's going on, especially with your handouts and everything else that you got.
Well, that's right.
On.
And yeah, the Electric Master Series, we got lots of sponsors: TLR, Losi, Airtronics, BCE Chassis, RC Car Action, Studio 44, Thunder Power, Viper RC, J Concepts, and RC Insider.
That's incredible.
So, definitely went big with this one. We handed out some great stuff, full shock oil assortments all the way up. I mean, that's $70 worth of shock oil. It's a pretty substantial gift.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, tires. It's been awesome. It really has.
It's a spectacular event with a lot of prizes and giveaways, and definitely if you race this series, you're going to probably get your name put on the map somewhere. This is one of the better ones in Vegas, I think, right now. And,
yeah, it's a lot of work has gone into it. It's getting put in.
There's a lot of people watching it.
Yeah,
paying attention to it.
Yeah,
so.
That's for sure. I know Jeremy's put it on RC Insider a bit. It's been in Neo Buggy.
Yeah, I'm supposed to give him a full race report.
We have it at the shop, and it'll be ready for him when we get back. That's for sure.
I definitely need to put that together and send it to him so he can put it up on the website this week.
Yeah, we will get that done. And later in the show, we have our RC Insider segment, and then our interview with Dustin Evans.
Yeah, that's.
So
cool.
this is, it's super cool. But moving right on along here, let's get into our RC Insider segment with Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Jeremy?
Another day in paradise. What's going on, bud?
Oh, man. Shane, are you ready for the season to be over or what, buddy?
I'm glad that I don't have to travel to another event until after, end of February. So that's a plus for me right now. Actually, I can kick it at home and spend some time with the family and some time at my local track, and not have to worry about staying on top of all this stuff.
I snuck in there at the JBRL, dude, during the mains last Saturday because it was pouring buckets of rain down here in San Diego, and I kept thinking, dude, they're going to cancel it up there, but they got through it. And they made it through. So
yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be canceled, and I didn't know what was going to happen with all that. But we showed up anyways. What do you do? You
exactly
pray to the rain gods that it doesn't rain.
I was surprised. I got the pictures up on Monday afternoon, and I figured Car Action would beat me to have all the stuff up, but I had everything up before anybody had anything up on the internet. And then I'm finishing cutting up the main highlights.
Yeah, I didn't
tonight.
see any videos out there yet or anything like that, and I'm sure you're on top of it. And I noticed that you were the first one to post anything about it, And that's awesome that RC Insider's on top of things.
Well, and that's what makes the advantage to my site different here in the state side as opposed to some of the magazines. They're so tied to the magazines, their internet, they can't leak all those pictures out until it comes out in the magazines. But unfortunately, you know, for magazine subscribers and the new people, it doesn't matter to them. But you guys that are the racers, that they want to see it in the next couple of days and see how they look and be able to post the pictures up, and the hobby shops and their sponsors want to be able to put them on their websites. So unfortunately, social media, you know, if you're not able to post it all up on the website and get things going, I think it gives the magazines a disadvantage on that kind of stuff.
It does.
I mean,
it does.
When my website first started up, you know, RC Driver had talked to me, and then RC Car Magazine, before they went out of business, wanted to do stuff with me, but we couldn't agree to doing anything because they told me that I would have to hold off on my pictures and stuff, and I'm like, no, forget that. That's not going to work for me. I'm a day of news guy. I want to talk about what happened today and get it up within 24 to 48 hours, and that's just the way it is. And if you guys don't like it, then...
No, that's cool, because, you know, a lot of people, they go to these events and they, you know, spend time and money to be there, and then they want that information like Monday morning.
Yeah, pronto.
I'm looking on Sunday. Like, if it ended on Saturday, I'm looking on Sunday for videos or
I'm
reviews.
telling you, man, if I didn't have the commitments with the TV station that I work at and things that I do, a lot of this stuff would have been up on Sunday.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard to dedicate your time to it 100%.
It really is tough. I mean, you know, last week I still wanted to finish up my segment from last week with you when Rob Jackson had called to talk about Thunder Alley. With some of the big news that was, you know, like I said, I broke last week with, you know, West Coast coming out with a bid for the Worlds. You know, one of the interesting things, and these are things we can talk about with Dustin when he comes on the show, is here in Southern California, rumors had been flying over the summertime back right before the Worlds. The Ryan Cavallari had been drawing a paycheck to race at West Coast and practice and you name it. That was one of the big things that I learned through some pro drivers and some you know, RC insiders, people that are close to like what's going on here in the Southern California racing scene, that West Coast had kind of put them on the payroll to run.
Did you find out if that was true or not? Me being in the media, like did that happen?
That was what I wanted to get in and discuss with you guys on the segment last week. When I got my phone call from Danny, you know, the reason what prompted the conversation to get into the conversation talk about Ryan Cavallari about this was he had started politicking for Ryan on the phone about what a great guy he is, and he's always practicing, and he's always at that track, and he's like, I got the world champ racing at my track. And I just flat out asked him, I go, are you paying this guy to run at your racetrack? I go, I heard the rumors throughout the whole summer that you are paying this guy, and he told me absolutely denied it flat out. I do not pay this guy. I do not ask him to run at my track. He wants to be at my track. He runs at my track. It's in his contract. Cliff Lett, Brent Telke, those guys do not allow him to draw any kind of contingency or any kind of paycheck from a racetrack due to the fact that in team-associated bylaws or whatever that's out there, they have to support all tracks. And you can't be partial beneficial.
You can't monopolize it, yeah.
Right. Now, here's the other flip side to that coin. Did you see all the Electric World pictures that came out out of Vasa, Finland? All the Losi guys like Mike Truey, Dustin Evans, Matt Chambers, Dakota Fenn, Steve Hartson of Team Associated wearing their hats that had the OCRC logo on them, and a lot of those guys wear OCRC stickers on their bodies and stuff.
I wonder.
And if you go to OCRC though, or you know their website, they have a team page of all the Losi drivers.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to Nick Black this last week out at the JBRL on Saturday, and I said, dude, are these guys getting paid by you guys to pimp out OCRC, or is it just a fun thing, or what goes on with that? And he said, oh, yeah, they get contingencies. Dustin Evans, those guys, if they win races, they get contingencies from the racetrack. So I guess it's in different people's contracts. It's different strokes for different folks. I mean, you know, it depends what that company has that allow these drivers to do whatever they want. My theory is on it, you know, Shane, I don't find it a big problem. And the reason being is, you know, this is the one chance these pro drivers in their careers are going to be able to make their highest as they can with contingency funds when they're young, in their 20s, when they're alert and their eyes are working, their hand-eye coordination is all just clicking right now.
Yeah.
if a track or somebody wants to sponsor them,
if they're going to offer them money, take it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Take everything that you can get. And then not only that, it helps out the track, I think, a lot. If you can say that, hey, Ryan Cavalieri's at my track once a week, twice a week, then it's going to bring in people to come and see him.
Good
ask
for the
him
drivers.
questions. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Awesome.
I think it's stellar.
I think it's wrong that these companies, because look, I'm going to be honest with you, none of these paid drivers, and I'll be honest with you, none of them are all W-2'd and they're getting health benefits out of these companies. They're all 1099. They have to be responsible for their taxes.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is like, if Cavalieri or Mayfield or any of these guys can command an extra $200 a month out of a track that wants to use them and put up a billboard out in front of their shop, or hey, this guy races here, why shouldn't they be allowed to have that? I mean, it was rampant over the year that Kendall Bennett of A-Main Hobbies wanted Mayfield to run A-Main Hobbies stickers on his car. I couldn't get that confirmed, but it was just one of the things that was out there that people were talking about at the racetracks. And, why wouldn't you want Ryan Mayfield to be running the stickers of your company on his car? I mean, he's going to come in the top 3, and those pictures in the magazine with the sticker on it, it's going to totally promote your business.
I know from experience that usually if you have a sticker on your car and you're in the pro class,
you're getting paid.
You're either getting paid from it or you're getting some kind of kickback some way. Otherwise, it's not going on the car. Because
well, look, here's the bottom line. I pay Paul Lemieux, and I've been behind on it a couple months because some of my ad contracts got changed, and Paul's been really good to me about it, and we've worked things out. But he runs RC Insider stickers on his car at like the big races, like the Worlds, the Nationals, and he runs me about $75 a month to run RC Insider stickers on his car, and he's the one guy I do it. I love on-road, and I guarantee you if I had to take that to an off-road, it would probably be double, possibly triple that with like a Cav, Tebow, or Mayfield or something like that.
I'll do it for a lot less.
I do that with Paul Lemieux. What'd you say?
I do it for pennies. Just hit me up. Hit up the big Shane.
I was also doing that at the time when my website didn't really have a huge following, and Paul is such an old school guy, and the thing I want with my website, and I want people doing stuff with my website that are like role models to these kids out in the field.
Yeah, and everybody looks at their stuff. Everybody watches them on the track and watches their car on the track, and then even off the track, it's sitting in the pits or something. People walk up to it and they look at it.
Prime real estate.
Yeah, it's prime real estate. You might as well. I mean, if it only costs you that much money, at least maybe you get some. If you had a product for sale, you're going to sell your product from that. He's using it. I'm going to use it.
I'm not going to put a sticker on my car that has that is going to go to a kid that's fighting, complaining, yelling at turn marshals.
Yeah, that's
Paul
bad.
Lemieux,
That's bad publicity.
It is, and if you see, how Paul Lemieux is at the racetrack for on-road, he's without a doubt, lights out and on-road in the U.S. I mean, he's probably going to be the number 1 U.S. guy qualified for the Worlds, I want to say, going into next year's, race in Netherlands. He's going to run both of them. I think one's in Netherlands, and I think the other one's in Thailand, I believe. But, he is just an all-around, lights-out guy that if this website ever takes off, I would love to do commentary with him and, have him do a lot of my on-road stuff in the future when, this website builds and grows even further.
Yeah. And then you have to make the right choices, too. Like when you pick that driver to run your stuff, does he show up every day at the track, or is he at all these events, or does he just do 1 or 2 events a year and that's it, And then are they the good events that you wanted to be promoted at? So it's a very tough decision, I don't know how much time I have left on my segment, but I want to really touch base on the J Concepts Arizona State Championships this weekend. RC Insiders are actually sending Zach Rogers to it. One of our sponsors that just came into the website before the end of this year, calrc.com, sponsored or took an ad out on our website, and it was able to get me to get Zach out to I don't know if you've ever met Zach Rogers, Shane, but he runs out of Bakersfield, and he did some stuff with my website since the very beginning.
and he does race reports for my site when he went to the Worlds for the electrics over when he was in Finland in July.
Yeah.
So having said that, he's going out to Arizona to hang out with Mayfield for the weekend, and he's going to be with all the Team J Concepts and stuff. So he's going to catch up with some of the guys from Florida. I think John Pyant of J Concepts will be out there, who used to run the monster truck, the Gravedigger. He works for Jason Rona now out there in Florida and works at the J Concepts factory, as you like to call it. So
wow.
It's going to be a good weekend. I'm going to have a report coming from him at the AZ State Championships, and then
I really wanted to go to that race, and it's not in my it's not in my
a lot of
future,
guys actually decided not to go to that race and then save it up and go to the Roar Regionals at West Coast in December, from what I've been hearing through the grapevine. But it's like, I hate to say it, I compare the golfers to these RC car drivers, because there's always a big race every weekend. They're just not giving away a life-size car.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's always something going on. And I know we're moving along here. Did you want to stay on for a question with Dustin, Jeremy?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to keep you on the line, and we're going to pick Dustin up on the line. Dustin, how you doing, bud?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Another day in paradise. We got Jeremy from RC Insider here. Before we get started with you, Dustin, he wanted to ask you a couple quick questions. Fire away, Jeremy.
Dustin, how are you doing, man, this evening?
Awesome, Jeremy. How's it going? Good to hear from you again.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, how have things been going since the Worlds, and kind of get us caught up on what you've been up to, and are you moving more towards Nitro for 2012, or are you just pretty happy with the way things are going on the electric side?
That's actually funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, definitely going into next year, I'm going to be running a little bit more gas and going to be going to the Worlds next year in Argentina. Still, my main concentration is going to be on 10-scale electric off-road, but I will be running some of the major gas races and out in California practicing more with Nitro and stuff to get ready for the Worlds next year. But
now awesome. You just mentioned you're going to the Worlds. You didn't qualify for that at out in Thunder Alley this past June. So what made you decide to get ready to be able to go do that? Are you just going to wait and see if some people drop off, or how is that going to work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I believe so, because like when the Worlds are in the U.S., it's definitely really hard to get in, because everyone that qualifies for the Worlds will do the best they can to make it, since it's within the United States. But from everything that I've heard and been talking to people and stuff, since the Worlds are out of the country and in Argentina next year, there'll be probably quite a few people that probably qualified that will not be going. So I pretty much have to turn in a resume, and hopefully that Roar accepts my resume to get into the Worlds. And from talking with Kevin, the team manager at TLR and stuff, it really shouldn't be much of an issue. So hopefully we'll get that all taken care of, and be ready for the Worlds next year.
And finally, Dustin, we're here at almost the end of November. You got the Horizon Hobby Race coming up out there at Scotty's track in December. Last year I caught up with you and Matt, when you guys unveiled the new 22 cars. Are you looking forward to the race this year? Kind of, a home team type atmosphere with the Horizon Hobby situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been to that race the last 2 years, and any race that Scotty Ernst put on is just absolutely amazing. It's a super fun event. He has an awesome track, and then, of course, the race being sponsored by Horizon and Spectrum is the main sponsor and stuff. It's definitely a great race and a lot of fun, a lot of good locals there. It's a very challenging race in terms of the factory guys that come there, and even from all the locals that are very fast at that track. And this year we're going to even have more of a presence. Last year we had me and Chambers and then Sonny Brown, the Spectrum team manager, but this year we're kind of bringing the whole team. Truey's coming out, Kevin Gahan's coming, our engineer Dino Dan, Matt Castellano, myself, Chambers, Matt Chambers, and Dakota Finn. So we're definitely going to be at the Spectrum race in full force.
Last question, and I'll get off this phone call, but real quick, when can we expect to see you and Matt and Dakota and everybody out here West Coast getting ready for the Rudy Race Champions, maybe doing some practicing and tweaking on things?
Not sure exactly if Dakota or Chambers will be coming out there, but I know I'm going to do something very similar to what I did last year, which was come out to Southern California probably about the first week into January and be running and doing some testing for the first week and a half or 2 weeks out at West Coast and stuff to get ready for the Reedy race again. So, yep, I will be back there again in January and definitely looking forward to it. I love it out there.
Dustin, it's always good to have you with RCinsider.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the next race, man. Take care of yourself, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. You as well.
All right, and here we go. That was a long RC Insider segment. Jeremy always has a ton of great stuff. And before we dig in with Dustin here, if you want to call in and ask some questions, you can do so at 702-731-1230. Also, you can stream us live from the Vegas RC Raceway website, which is thevrcr.com. And now we're with you, Dustin. Real quick here, why don't you get in, let everyone know a little bit about yourself. A couple people out there might not know much about you, so let's, I think the majority do. Let's see what you got to tell them.
Well, my name is Dustin Evans. I race for TLR, Losi, Ryan. Been pretty much racing RC kind of on and off since I was about like 6 years old. Taking many breaks. I raced BMX, I raced go-karts, and racing's definitely been in my blood all the way through my life. And I quit racing when I was about 18 to like 21, and that's when I got back into RC and started just racing a lot, going to as many races as I could, and things have just kept going and going. And now traveling to a lot of races and racing a lot is my job and stuff, and it's awesome. I couldn't be happier, surrounded by a great group of people at TLR and just everyone in the RC industry. It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's always a neat job to have, to be around these kind of people. You all share a common interest. You're all able to talk about the same things, go to these events. So now you said you got back into it when you were about 21. And so then
Yes.
Just from there, that's when you started going to all the big races. Were there any big races before that when you were younger?
Yeah, I went to a few races when I was younger. I went to the Hot Rod Hobby Shootout in 01. I made a modified two-wheel main at that race when I was younger and stuff. And, it was really something I wanted to do, but at the same time, I was kind of busy doing other things, racing go-karts in the summer, and RC was just kind of an off-season thing for me to fill my need for racing when I wasn't racing full-size stuff. And as I got older, I went off to college and doing that, and just kind of got out of the hobby, which unfortunate, but I think when I got back into it, it kind of remotivated me and has gotten me to where I am now. I honestly don't know if I would be where I am right now if I continued racing and stuff, because the break from racing in general really made me realize how much I just love racing and stuff like that and needed it back in my life, and I think that was a big motivator to help me get where I am now.
It's always nice to get that second burst. I know I got into it when I was about 10 years old and then got out of it about 15, and then just 2.5, 3 years ago got back into it again, and it really put a fire under my rear to push forward and do whatever, To
become a track owner now.
Yeah.
Just into the sport, playing out in the backyard or whatever, going to a couple tracks, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm taking this thing full head on and want to open a track and make it all happen. So
yeah. Now when you were racing before, was it Losi back then as well?
I wasn't actually sponsored by Losi, but yes, I was running Losi products at that time. And that was back in the heyday of Losi with Kenwald, Francis, Hodap, Dunbar. The list goes on and on of the factory Losi guys back in that day. So getting any opportunity or chance to get on with Losi at those times was very slim to none, as they had an extremely stacked team. And I ran Losi cars and pretty much what I've been running my whole RC career.
Yeah, well, that's nice to be, run a brand, and then, you see all those great, famous drivers, and then
Absolutely.
Get back into it, and now you're one of them.
Yeah, definitely. He is.
Taking the industry by storm. Now there's kids that are younger, and they're flipping through these magazines. They're saying the same thing about you. So it's leading a whole new generation up the ladder as far as pro RC racing goes. I think that's definitely awesome. Is it? Do you feel like a role model at all for some of these young kids that flip through magazines, maybe keeping them out of a little bit of trouble?
Absolutely. I definitely like being a person to be looked up to, and hope I can be a good role model for future racers and upcoming racers and stuff. Everything's kind of happened so quickly, I would say, within the last couple of years. It's still, I have to, like, sit back and pinch myself. I mean, this really is a dream come true for me. And when I got back into racing, I knew if I put myself to it, I could do well, and wanted to, like, make, like, a modified nationals A-main and do some stuff. I had some small goals, but honestly, when I got back into it, I never dreamed that I would be at the point I'm at now. But just a lot of hard work and having a lot of fun. Things have just kept developing, and got a lot of support from TLR, and they gave me a lot of opportunities maybe when I wasn't quite deserving of them, but they saw potential in me and gave me those opportunities, and I couldn't be more grateful for what they've done for me to help me get where I am now too. I mean, I couldn't have done it without them, so I definitely have to give a lot of credit to TLR and everyone back at the factory for helping me get where I am now. So
yeah, it's definitely nice to have a large factory behind you, telling you, go for it, you can do it, and give you those opportunities to go out there and live up to your potential and squeeze out the victories.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And just everyone that we work with at TLR is just absolutely amazing. Like I said, I couldn't be happier. I mean, I'm with such a great group of people, teammates, engineers, team manager, just everyone, Bill Jarrett, the president of LOSI. I mean, they've all believed in me and really given me this opportunity, and it's awesome to work with such a great group of people.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And Shane, moving on, next
question.
question.
Dustin, at the beginning of this year, or actually it was last year, the Spectrum race, you were out there with the new 22, and that race for me really put your name in my head. I saw you on Live RC. I watched the whole entire thing from qualifying into the mains and all that stuff, and that race really put you on the map, I think. And with the new car, nobody else was running it at the time. I think it was just you and one other person in America, I think, at the time. And that thing was on fire. You drove that car like it was on rails, and I know there was a bunch of hype behind it too, because it was a new platform that was out on the market with their aluminum chassis and everything else. It was unlike any other car out there, and you really put it on the map with that race, for me anyways. I don't know if it was that way for everything. Did that race make it just kind of snowball into what you are right now, like at this point?
I mean, yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I mean, looking back and thinking about that now, I definitely could say that race definitely gave me a lot of confidence, and definitely rolled into this year and stuff. I mean, this year has been an absolute dream, and I guess, I mean, it did start all at the Spectrum race last year. Going into that race with a new car, and we didn't really have that much time testing with the car, because I think we did a very good job of keeping the car under wraps. Like, there was a lot of talk about LOSI coming out with TLR,
there's huge hype behind
new
it.
car.
Yeah.
But I think we did a good job because no one saw it or knew exactly what it was going to be. There's so many rumors. Oh, it's just going to be an update. Oh, it's going to be this. And for us to come out with this ground-up project that was in the works for about 2 years, I would say. Yeah, I mean, it was just an absolutely perfect weekend. I mean, we had the car. Me and Matt Chambers were the two that had the car at that race.
Okay, it was Matt Chambers. I know at the time, you were kind of new. I'm familiar with a lot of the top drivers are, just like most people are. And at the time, I wasn't too familiar with your name at that time in my life. I do a lot of nitro events and stuff like that, so I didn't really know the whole electric crowd, just the top maybe 5 guys at that point. And then I was like, who's Dustin Evans? Why he's taking this 22 and just wheeling this thing around the track,
putting it down.
Yeah, making people look like they're at a standstill. I was like, who is this guy? And then ever since then, it seems like I've seen more and more and more of your name popping up all over the internet, all over RC Insider, all over Neo Buggy, and I think look outside looking in, that race really put you on the map and made everything just snowball ever since then. That's just my outlook.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely started. I mean, finished the end of the year last year and really led me into the beginning of this year. And I mean, with there being so much hype behind the car and being able to win the debut race of that car, I mean, it was an absolutely perfect weekend. Usually, I mean, you'd get a new car and, of course, there's all kinds of hype behind it and stuff like that. But, I mean, sometimes it takes a while with the car to get setups and development and stuff. But I mean, all the credit can go back to everyone at TLR and Dan Hissam, our engineer, who is the guy that's behind the 22. And that car is, I mean, pretty much is all his design. And for him to be able to come up with a car and for it to be that good right away with as little time with the car we had was just absolutely amazing. I mean, the end of that weekend to have won that race, I was on another planet. It was absolutely awesome to be able to win the debut with that car with all the hype behind it. So
now, I know you said you didn't have a whole lot of time with that car. Now you've had a substantial amount of time with the car. How much better has it gotten with now that you've been able to get down to the nitty-gritty and really work on it? Is it substantially better, or was it pretty much right there from the get-go?
Definitely the car has gotten a lot better. I mean, the car that we took to the Spectrum race last year was actually the very first run of parts. For the car to be able to go together and for it to be able to go around the track with the very first run of parts, I mean, says a lot to all the work that everyone's put in. But, I mean, we definitely, from the car that we drove at that race last year to where it is now, just in terms of materials and stuff like that, once the car became production, has gotten so much better. And I think back and look back on that car we ran last year, and just there was just so many little things that had to be right with the car that maybe weren't quite right from the first run of production. You had to be super careful with stuff not binding up, and there's just so much to look out after that car with it being the very first pre-production car and stuff to where we are now. I mean, we've definitely evolved a lot with setup over the summer and stuff like that, and I mean, we still have a lot to learn. I mean, we've been driving the car for about a year, but there's still a lot to learn with the car, and I think the progression and just keep working with the car is just going to keep getting better and better over the next year or two.
Now, I know some of the upgrades, like Mikey Bustamante, he had one, fairly early on, and he would bring it down to the Vegas RC Raceway.
It was still very fresh.
And he had heard the tip from one of you guys, I guess, to put the shock shaft through like a kingpin up on the front casters. Is that kind of stuff that you guys were doing from the beginning as well, trying to stop a little bit of deflection in the front end?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was definitely one of the big things we did right away with that very first pre-production car, because the materials weren't quite right in the very first pre-production car, and the spindles were kind of weak, and we were having problems with breaking spindles with pretty easy hits and stuff. And then Dyno was the one that thought about putting that shock shaft through there and enclosing the spindle on the caster block, which prevented the ears from breaking off. So that was something that we did in early testing to prevent the car from breaking. And then obviously we came out with an aftermarket part that we're all run now. I mean, the production spindles and stuff are definitely way stronger than we ever ran before. But with that enclosed, like, kingpin shaft through it, is just almost a guarantee you will not break a spindle. I mean, West Coast, when we were testing last year and stuff like that, they had a crazy track with some big jumps and jump into the driver's stand and stuff like that, and the front end didn't break or anything. So, yeah, it definitely added a lot of durability to the car when we were in initial testing, when we probably didn't have the correct material at the time.
That's really awesome. Now, what other things come to mind when you're talking about things like that? Like for the normal club racer that might not have known that from a get-go, they might have gone through several casters, or front ends there. What else did you guys change from the beginning there to try to make it a little bit better?
There's not really anything in geometry changed or anything. The biggest testing was just like materials. And we definitely kind of evolved with materials and making stuff stronger and stuff like that. And as I've read online, and everyone can say, I mean, I definitely think the 22 is the strongest two-wheel drive car on the market. I mean, if you hit it hard enough, it's going to break like anything else, but the car is definitely extremely durable. And that was one of the major things that we found in, like, first testing, and for that to be probably one of the only major problems we really ran into is definitely a good thing.
That is a good thing. That's great. Now with that Spectrum race there kind of putting you on the map, what did you do to keep the momentum up? Like, once that happened, was it like, okay, now things are going, I'm going to push it extra hard and keep blowing out these events? What was on your mind to make sure that you stayed on the top?
I mean, after the Spectrum race, came back, holiday season, I was running as much as I could, and then the beginning of January last year, I came out to West Coast to do some testing for the Reedy races. That was the first Reedy race, and I can't remember. Well, they had a Reedy race in Japan, and I believe it was 2008. But before that, I can't remember. I think it was early 2000s, the last Reedy race. So I was super excited for that, and everyone at TLR was. So I came out to California beginning of January, spent a week and a half running every day at West Coast to get ready for the Reedy race. Then went to a race out in Ohio, the Columbus, the VRCR Midwest Winter Champs. Unfortunately, I got extremely sick at that race last year and was kind of a miserable weekend for me, but came back home, recuperated, and then got ready for the Reedy race and stuff. So I think just after that race, I just kept practicing hard and knew that I just had to keep working at it, and if I put the time and effort into it, it would just keep rolling, and everything's worked out better than I could have ever planned.
Now, Dustin, when I mean, you've been going to a lot of these big events. What's involved in your mental and physical preparation for such a large event, and how long before the race do you start preparing for these things?
I mean, it usually depends on the race. I mean, it depends on how much I'm running at home and stuff. But usually, I mean, the week before, the biggest thing for me is just car preparation. I mean, going to a race with your cars prepared and everything ready to go is a huge key factor for me. I usually go to a lot of these races with really fresh cars, rebuild everything completely before I go to the race. And I think it's maybe a mental thing for me, knowing that I have newer cars and everything's fresh and know that everything should be good. So, I mean, car preparation is definitely the biggest thing for me, but mentally, I mean, the best thing for me also is just try to get as much rest and stuff as I can, because some of these race weekends can be pretty long and pretty grueling and not a lot for sleep. So
no, there's
definitely
not a lot of
try to
sleep when we go to these big events.
Yeah,
it's tough.
I know it was. I know it was crazy. Even for me, I thought it was going to be a vacation, and we went out to the battle at the beach in Havasu, and I came back like a zombie.
Yeah,
it took me a week to recover.
And then a lot of stuff, if you're outside, outdoors, even inside, like fluorescent lights start messing with my eyes after 3 or 4 days with these things. And I'll go up and stand on the driver's stand for the, like a 10-minute main event or something, an electric race. And it seems like the room is smoky because I haven't had a lot of sleep or whatever's going on. It just seems like it's smoky, and it if you don't get sleep at these events, it's a tough deal. And then now that you're kind of on top of everything, Dustin, it seems like, I mean, is it tough for you to do you get nervous at these big events?
I mean, I think everyone probably gets a little nervous, and I've definitely learned to control everything a little bit better. And just like when I first started coming up and going to bigger races and qualifying good for the first time in a big race and all that stuff, I mean, I was extremely nervous and always wanted to do good. But I think just with the more and more of these big races you go to and the more of them, you just get experience, and I think the nerves become less and less. It's just something you do a lot over time or whatever, and having a lot of confidence, I think, definitely helps with the nerves, knowing that you can do it and stuff like that. So, I mean, everyone's going to get nervous before the start of races and stuff, but once I'm on the track and everything's going good, I mean, I don't even really
get down to business.
Yeah, you got to turn into an ice cube. But I know still, I mean, even lately, like this past year, when I have big names ahead of me that qualified ahead of me or whatever, or I out-qualified them or whatever, and I go into these AMA events, it just starts tripping me out. Like I'll sit on the driver's, I'll get up there before the main, and before everything starts, and I just start tripping. Like what got me right here, and how did I do that, and can I keep doing it? Like, am I going to be able to put it together right now and be able to stay there, or am I going to look like a donk and just start blowing stuff out all over the place? But,
yeah, it's crazy. It really is. I mean, out in Havasu there, I'm up on the driver's stand with Ty Tessman.
Yeah.
And I'm driving. I think I'm burning him up, and this guy's doing spins around me. And
he'll do a 360 or a backflip. He'll backflip over you like he did at Thunder Alley. There's a recent video out there of him backflipping over somebody to take the lead position.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Dustin, you're talking about preparation here. Have you ever had to attend a race with super short notice? You're kind of sitting around in your pajamas watching some TV, and next thing you know, you get the phone call, hey, we need you to come on out and put the hurting on some people.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's any last-minute calls like that or anything, but I think the hardest thing is just, like, consecutive races and back-to-back weekends and stuff like that. Like, recently, I was out in Boston for the J Concepts race, and then the following weekend is in California for the Reedy Truck race. So, I mean, it's hard when you're at a race, and then the next weekend you got to go to another race, and in between those races you got to try to prepare your cars and get everything ready. I mean, those are definitely the times when you're at the track, and then you come home, and then you're working on cars late at night and getting everything ready to fly again across the country to go to another race. So I think those are the hardest times when it's hard to prepare or whatever, but I mean, that's just part of what we have to do and everyone has to do. And I mean, in the end, I always get my stuff prepared and everything ready. I know some days are long days and long nights, but in the end, it's all worth it. And once I get on the plane to go to the race, I don't even think about it. I'm just excited to be going to a race and having fun.
Now, when you have to do those back-to-back weekends, how do you adapt? It seems like if you're at one race and you've got this mindset, you're at a certain kind of track with a certain kind of environment, and then boom, right after that, you're on the jet flying somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like West Coast to East Coast, and it's like temperature changes and environment changes.
Does it take quite a bit for you to adapt, or like you said, just as soon as you get on the airplane, the adrenaline kind of takes over?
Yeah, I mean, I've never even really thought about it like that. I mean, as soon as I get on the plane and go into another place, I mean, I always have a lot of fun, and it's really exciting when you get to go to new places and stuff like that, new tracks, meet new people. It's definitely a big perk of what we do, and I enjoy it very much. But no, I mean, I don't think it really takes me that much to like adapt to the environment or anything, because we always are going to so many different tracks and stuff. So I honestly never really thought about it, but I enjoy going to a lot of different tracks and meeting all the people and stuff. It's awesome.
Now, Dustin, when you go to these different tracks all the time, how many laps does it usually take you to get on point? Do you give yourself a goal amount, like okay, within this whole battery pack in practice,
I want to be on pace.
Yeah, I'm going to be on pace with everybody else, or is it like the first 3 laps, or like how do you judge that? Because I have a problem with this at every event that I go to. I prejudge myself.
I think that's a big thing. I don't really set a time or anything like that. When I go out on the track, especially like the first battery or two on like a new track, I definitely am not the type of person that is out there trying to jump everything and go for it. Kind of go out there and cruise around. And
you'd
just,
rather
like,
roll it than blow it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like ease into the pace, I guess. But like a lot of people, and I think I'm like a really smooth driver, so I'm not the kind of person that's always driving really hard and all that stuff. But yeah, when I first get on the track, I always go out there and just kind of cruise around and get a feel for everything and just kind of like ease into the pace. And then, I mean, honestly, try not to get caught up in all the lap times and all that stuff in practice, because at the end of the day, the biggest thing with what we do and everything, a single fast lap doesn't really mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Putting together 5-6 minute qualifiers. So when I'm out there practicing, instead of, it's nice to know that you're doing a lap that's consistent or fast with some of the other top guys or like that. But if I go out there in a practice session and my fast lap's 2 or 3 tenths off of someone else's fast lap, but I'm out there for 5-6 minutes with no crashes or anything, that's what I'm ultimately
that's your goal.
Going for.
Consistency, not to be the fastest guy.
Now, something that Ryan Lutz said to us last week. If you go out kind of just to have a relaxing time at a club race, wherever you may go, are you able to go being a big RC superstar now and just go have a good time? Or are you worried that you just got to go in and dominate, otherwise it's going to end up on websites and that kind of stuff?
Or feel pressured by the locals, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Dustin Evans is here. He should beat up on all of us. And then when you don't do so well, it's like, it's...
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been running at Milo. I mean, I club race twice a week at my home track when I'm in town and stuff like that. And fortunately, I mean, I do have a lot of competition with Matt Chambers, and then Cody Newmandahl also is local here in Denver. Maybe not that well known on the national scene, but in terms of our home track,
local,
absolutely lights out at our track and stuff like that.
What track is that?
I mean, More RC, MHOR, in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, I know we were talking about that. I used to race there before, and Shane hasn't had a chance to be there, but it's absolutely a fabulous, fabulous place. And if you're ever in the Denver area, you should swing by, because I have a lot of great memories there. But go ahead and finish up. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, that track, it's pretty small and stuff, but it's groomed a lot of good drivers, even in past generations, people that might not know, like Jay Robinette and Brian Westerman and Charlie Perez. They're pretty much like the previous generation from more RC. And then now we kind of got the newer generation with Chambers and Newmandahl and myself, and being able to race with those guys at my home track when we're all on the same level at my home track, and we push each other so hard every club night, and any one of us three can win on any club night. So I think that definitely really keeps me sharp, keeps me on my toes, and I mean, racing is racing. If you think you can win every race, I mean, it's not going to happen.
It doesn't happen.
I mean,
never.
In racing,
happens.
I mean, it is called racing for a reason. I mean, things can happen. You're not always going to win. Yeah, I mean, that's a part of racing. You can't win them all, so it's definitely a good thing to race with such good guys and not win every club race and have something to strive for and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can't be mad and throw your stuff.
No, absolutely not. I mean, at the end of the day, for the three of us, I mean, club racing, we enjoy it and stuff, but, like, club racing is practice for us for, like, the bigger races and stuff. I mean, we all want to win, but at the end of the day, we know that we're all getting better and preparing ourselves for the nationals and larger races like that and stuff. So it's just helping us all out in the end.
Now, talking about the club racing and that kind of stuff there, I'm sure you see a lot of guys that look up, up and comers. They're looking up to you. They're wanting to get sponsored. And I know people always ask me to ask this question to all the pro guys. For the guys that are looking to become sponsored, what advice would you give them? And what do you think the most sought after trait in a factory driver is?
I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be a representative for the company. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are, how good you think you are. At the end of the day, if you're someone throwing stuff, getting angry, yelling at people, companies are not going to want you because you are a representative for that company. So, I mean, definitely practice and being good on the track, but you also have to be a good person off the track and not be getting angry. I mean, it is a part of racing. People are going to get upset, but learning to control your emotions and not doing throwing stuff and
and
stuff
got to become
like
the
that.
ice cube that you know. I mean, that's what molds a pro driver. I think if you, I want to do a video of drivers on the stand, because there's some, like, if you look at some of these sportsman guys, they get wild and crazy and they're fishing with their remote control and some of their facial expressions. Like, I want to make a whole video on just that and show, okay, this is what you don't do, and then show, like, you know, a
this
pro
is your
A
brain
main
on drugs.
and watch and no, not, I mean, just some people, they just get crazy, whacked out on this stuff, and like they try to do so good, and their heart rate's probably at 200 beats per minute, and they're not moving or nothing, you know. So and then if you watch the pro guys, they don't even move. Like, they don't even, like, blink. They don't even, like, have any expressions, no emotions. They become an ice cube. So I tell a lot of these young drivers that you know, I race with or whatever, I tell them, hey, just become an ice cube and don't move.
Absolutely.
Be cold, you know, like, no emotion.
Be calculated, just
no
chill
emotion.
out. Yeah. Now, I know we got about a minute and a half left of the show here. So real quick, what are your goals for this year's season coming up, and which event are you looking most forward to?
Probably the race I'm looking forward to most is actually coming up in 2 months. Will be the Reedy race again. Last year was the first year the Reedy race was back in the U.S. in full force. And as I was saying, growing up younger and hearing and watching Ken Wald, Francis, and all those guys, like, I knew about the Reedy race and knew how big of a deal that race was, and it's such a prestigious race. And then to be a part of it last year and just every race is a final, it's one of the most intense and most fun races that I've ever been to.
You ended up winning that, didn't you, last year?
Yeah.
Yes, I actually did. And I mean, I couldn't even believe it for
Got
that.
about 30 seconds
I won
left,
the
Dustin.
Spectrum race, but to be able to win the Reedy race is probably considered one of my first major races. Was just an absolutely unbelievable moment.
Awesome.
And
hey,
after
Dustin,
the
not to cut you off here, Dustin. We got about 20 seconds left. Wish we had another hour with you, bud. Take it easy. We'll see you next week, and see you here on Race Chat.
Hey Las Vegas, Dollar Loan Center is sponsoring the Oakland Raider games this season during the broadcast on KLAV. And for every touchdown that the Raiders score during the regular season, Dollar Loan Center will donate $100 to Las Vegas' favorite charity, Opportunity Village. Join your community short-term lender, Dollar Loan Center, and make an Opportunity Village donation today. Get more information on making your donation at opportunityvillage.org or call Dollar Loan Center at 364-LOAN, and they'll help you out. Go Raiders!
Hi, my name is Gary Bridges, and I am the Home Pro Inspector. Join me every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Each week, I'm going to take you on an inspection of a home we have here in the Las Vegas area. We will discuss the inspection points we observe and the common safety and hazardous defects we find. I'll explain everything you need to know about what is behind the walls, up in the attic, in your yard, and the systems that operate your home. So join me on the Home Pro Inspector every Wednesday at 1 p.m. and have a safe and happy home.
Hey there, lovebirds. This is Brian Mills for the Viva Las Vegas Wedding Show. Join me every Wednesday from 3 to 4 right here on KLAV as we talk all things weddings in Las Vegas. We have traditional weddings, Elvis weddings, theme weddings, receptions, helicopter weddings. That's all right here from 3 to 4 on KLAV. The Viva Las Vegas Wedding Show is brought to you by the Viva Las Vegas Wedding Chapel. Check out all their wedding packages on vivalasvegas.com.
When people talk about precious natural resources, none are more precious than our children. Join us every other Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. for Children's Health Today with Dr. Wesley Robertson. Dr. Robertson is founder of Sunshine Valley Pediatrics, and he'll inform and educate you all about the health of our children. It's Children's Health Today every other Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. Brought to you by Sunshine Valley Pediatrics.
Nebraska football returns to KLEV, and you can follow the Huskers throughout the 2011 season. On game days, join me, Gary Bowden, 1 hour before the kickoff for the Cornhusker Countdown Show. Co-hosts John Bishop and Al Makowitz check in from Nebraska to give our listeners an exclusive 30-minute program that features news and views on the Huskers, plus an overview of their upcoming opponent. Following Cornhusker Countdown, stay tuned as we join the Husker Sports Network for more pregame programming, all leading up to the game and the play-by-play broadcast. So make KLAV your Husker headquarters.
Hi, my name is Dr. Julio Garcia. Join me every Monday at 9 a.m. for Under the Knife with Dr. Julio Garcia. I will be educating you about cosmetic surgery so you can make an informed decision. I will be discussing, making you aware, and informing you about all of the options that are available to you for looking and feeling younger. Recent news commentaries with items that relate to cosmetic enhancement will be discussed, and I will be answering all of your questions and concerns about the cosmetic industry. So listen in every Monday at 9 a.m. for Under the Knife with Dr. Julio Garcia.
I'm Don Randalls. I'm an attorney in Las Vegas. My show, The Dawn of Law, on KLAV Monday at 1 p.m. I'll talk about controversial subjects such as immigration, bankruptcy, criminal law, and personal injury. Join me, Dawn of Law, every Monday at 1 p.m. on KLAV.
This is Robert Wagner of Wagner & Associates Tax Solutions. Join me every Tuesday at 3 p.m. for my show, What's Taxing You, on KLAV. Are you going through an audit? Haven't filed your taxes in a number of years? Or do you just owe the IRS money and want to settle? I'm Robert Wagner. Listen to my radio show, What's Taxing You, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on KLAV. Remember, we speak tax so you don't have to.
Hi, join the Real Liberty Hour with Brent Jones and me, Jesse Law, on Tuesdays from 6 to 7 p.m., where we'll discuss overregulation and our vanishing freedoms and give you the tools to restore liberty right here at home. Be enlightened with guests, controversy, empowerment. And hey, if you want to chime in, you can give us a call on air. Catch the Real Liberty Hour each and every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. right in your drive time, and connect with us online at www.n4l.com. That's NFORL.com.
Hello, we're Los Lobos for Red.
It's okay to rock and roll and party. Just let someone else do the driving.
Remember, designate.
Our public service message brought to you by the
Love us on radio, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. We are KLAV 1230 AM.
You're listening to KLAV Las Vegas.